Hello and welcome to another short drawing lesson. This week we're going to draw the fabulous Ferrari F40, a car that I had pictures of on my wall as a child. The first thing we'll do, as always, is the front wheel over this side. Try and draw as lightly as you can. Next we'll do another wheel, 2 1/3 wheels further back. So we're using our wheel as a unit of measurement. So here's one wheel, 2 wheels, and a third, and then another one. And this can be a tiny bit bigger if you can manage it. I think the tyres are a bit bigger on the back. Next, we'll do the bottom of the car, which is completely flat, and it's quite low to the ground. It's about here, so about 1/3 of the way between the middle of the wheel and the ground, something like that. Nice, as straight as you can get it, and quite a long overhang at the front there. Next, we'll find the ends of the car. So the front end is about one wheel further forward, and that will be just the very tip of the spoiler at the front. So we've got a spoiler sticking out there, which pokes out the furthest. And then set back a bit, there's a little vertical section. Next, we've got a really long straight line to put in. It's slightly tilted. So this one is going to be sitting a bit higher than the centre of your front wheel. And it will come out, as I say, it's going to tilt up. It's straight, but it will tilt upwards slightly, so that it crosses this back wheel a bit higher than it would the front one, and it sticks out the back a bit. And on there, we're going to measure, say, 3/4 of a wheel. Put a little line in, that will be the back edge of our car, a vertical line. The bottom of the car here tilts up a bit. And this line continues at the front here, but it droops down a bit when it gets to the other side of this wheel. It's just tilts slightly downwards. And again, it has a slight overhang on that vertical section we did. Now we can do some nice curves. So we've got the first one, starts here at the tip of the nose, and it's going to curve over the front wheel and then level out just behind. It's quite close to that front wheel, something like that. We could put the front wheel arch sticks out. So we've got a curving section for the front edge of the door there, where it comes forward. Now this is just about the lowest part. We've got a sort of a snaking curve to put over these wheels. So the lowest part's just after this point here, and then it's going to rise up to a high point just ahead of the back wheel, about here. And it's not going to come down again. It's going to continue really. So you just want a nice swooping curve that goes over the top of the back wheel like that. So we've got a nice S in there. It's quite subtle. Next, we can put our pillar in that starts at the top of this line, very sloping. And then the top edge of the window, a slight curve on there. If we put our door in, we'll know where to put the B pillar. So our back edge of the door is about 3/4 of a wheel back from this back wheel. So if that's one wheel, 3/4 is about here. That's the furthest back part. So it starts with a slight curve, and that curve gets stronger as it comes towards the front. We've got a sort of sill to put in there as well, which makes the bottom edge of the door. And now we've got the door, we can put this sloping B pillar, and that's mirrored on that front pillar there. And now the window at the back here can come down. We want it to come almost in line with the wheel there. That's just about where it comes down to. But it comes down and then has a little step in. Now we'll give the roof some thickness and extend it a bit further, because this big pillar here, the C pillar, wants to reach the bodywork about here, and it needs to be wider at the bottom than it is at the top. And then on top of that, we've still got the the rear window, which again gets wider towards the bottom. So quite a lot to cram in there. We've also got our windscreen to put in. Don't see much of it, but you would see the little curve of the bottom edge, and that will add a bit to the bonnet. And of course at the back here we've got to add a wing, and that starts curving just after our rear wheel. There's a curve and it has a slight slope, sort of quite steep. The top edge is a tiny bit higher than the roof, and then it becomes part of that rear edge. So we've got the basic shape in. What we'll do now is make it hopefully look nice. So we'll put the floor in. And we'll start adding a little bit of shading here and there. So we'll darken the underside of the car, show the wheels on the far side of the car. And you can darken the floor, the shadow under the floor. The bottom edge of the tail, the bottom edge of the nose, they can all be darker because it's dark under there. We can firm up that line on the side slightly because that's usually painted black. So it stands out. We can put the wing mirror in here. It's just kind of a box shape. Again, it can be a little bit darker underneath. We can darken up inside the cabin where we can see into the roof section. And we'll start putting some details in now as well. So we've got a sort of racing seat, maybe a bit of the steering wheel there. We can shade in anything that's in that dark area. In here we've got, I think, vents for the engine, so that's all quite dark in that window at the back there. We can see the louvers on that rear screen. It's quite a nice detail. On the tail here we've got 4 slots, sort of vents, and we'll darken the top edges just to show that they're sunken in, and there's a little shadow being cast. Here we've got a reflector. Here we've got a Ferrari badge and a little clip holding the nose on. At the front we've got, you see a little glimpse of the headlight, and underneath a vent, which again can have a bit more shading at the top so it looks like an overhang. We can darken that sunken in section, and now we've got those important vents in the side. So we've got one here which starts almost right up here where that pillar is. Quite a tricky little shape. And again, that can have some shading inside because it's sunken in. So there'll be a shadow being cast. And there's another one set behind the door. I think they're called NACA ducts or NACA ducts or something. And there's a little Pininfarina badge, important. And maybe the join for the rear clip. And that's pretty much it. We could add a little bit of detail to these wheels just to show where the rim is. We've got those Campagnolo wheels, which they leave little triangles in between the spokes. It's tempting to draw the spokes, but that might add too much detail. We could add a bit of shading into them to show they're sunken in a bit. And maybe just hint at what those wheel arches are doing, because they come down quite straight each side of the wheel. And I think that's pretty much it. We've got all the important stuff in. Hope yours turned out okay. Let me know how you got on in the comments. And if there's anything you'd like me to try drawing next, I'll have a go. I've got quite a list to get through by now, but I'll try to get through them all eventually. Have a great week. Like and subscribe, and I'll see you for another one soon.